Hey, what's up? It's Sifu Kuttel. In this video, we're going to be working on a hook swords technique for the downward flower. Now, this is a double downward flower, and it has a 3-beat timing to it. So if you have not worked with hook swords before, if you're just getting into double weapons training, I suggest that you work with sticks instead to get the motions down, because when we work with hook swords, we have this little bit of extra space that we have to account for between the bottom spike and the front crescent blade, as well as the hook that we might catch up on the other weapon. So make sure you have this down easy with both hands, and then you can work on using the hooks. Let's get started. The best way to work on this downward flower is to think of it as 3 strikes or 3 beats if you want to go by rhythm. So it is not just simply downward in an X shape following each other. We actually have an extra movement in between. So first off, make sure that you understand that we do strike in an X shape here. So you should be doing this with a single hand, and then you can do it with double hand, leading 1, 2, 1, 2. Nice big motion. It should feel pretty comfortable. Okay. Now, once we're here, we're going to add in that extra strike, but we're also going to be in a little bit of a different position. We're going to have our arm crossed underneath when we start this. So I want you to get comfortable with this. So right here, I'm going to take my arm, cross underneath, and then I'm going to do my downward X. Just practice, keep going with this one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Downward, 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 downward. My other hand just rests here. Get comfortable with that. Make sure you can do it with both hands. So again, we're going down, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Now, this is going to be a little bit goofy, but it's a great way of understanding our 3rd strike. So it doesn't matter which side you do. We're going to cross our arms, and then from here, I want you to think of striking forward with just your hand turning, okay? So just do this a couple of times. Get used to the position of this, okay? So all I'm doing is just turning my wrist. It's kind of silly. It's very simple, but this is a great way to understand our next strike. So now let's focus on actually implementing that 3rd strike to our downward, okay? Again, I'm going to cross my arm underneath, and then this time I want to start with my arm crossed. So my first strike is actually coming back down. If this is my right hand, I'm starting on my left side. I'm going to cut down 1, down 2, down 3, okay? So again, I want to start across the body. 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Now, this last part is not only just rotating out, but this is our way to pull our arm and get it from underneath our other arm to open up again. So now, let's open up. We have 1, 2, 3 coming down. Okay, again, cross. 1, 2, 3. Again, coming across. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Once your arm is open, we're going to cross over the other arm. So after I bring this arm down, I'm going to bring my arms, and you can think of this almost as if you're going to cross them again. And then turn, unwind, turn, unwind. So you cross them and wind up. Turn, unwind, cross them and wind up, turn. Okay? Don't worry too much about trying to get that 1, 2, 3 here. Just big open motion. Okay? So I bring my arm down, over, cross, down, over, cross, down, over, cross. And this is where that extra hit comes in. Boom. Once it's underneath here, that's what brings us across at the end. So it's just that extra one after we cross the arm. Once you get that down, make a nice big movement. You can go big with the body on this one. Cross, unwind, wind up, unwind. Or we want to focus on bringing it down so it's a little bit smaller, just down at the wrists. When you're comfortable with this, you can do it without thinking. You can just sit and spin the weapons. Then it's time to work with the hook swords. Now it's time to do this with the hook swords. When we do the double downward flower with the hook swords, we have to keep in mind one thing in particular, and that's this bottom spike. This has a lot more room on the bottom, so you don't want to be too close to the body as you do this, or you might end up hitting yourself or getting it cut in your uniform if you're wearing a traditional uniform. So we want to make sure that we account for that by having a little bit more reach forward. Now, typically, if you have sticks or swords, you can focus on this as 3 striking techniques. However, I prefer with the hook swords to come up and over the top, diving down with more of a parrying technique. So I would be using this blade to block, pull, and then attack. So it's more of a block and attack rather than to attack and attack. Okay, so you have 2 strikes, 1 block. Now we can start the same way. If you have any issues with this, just tuck one arm under the other, dive down, hit, hit, and then again, dive down, hit, hit, dive down. And then this is where we can start tying it in for the double downward flower. Now notice I tighten it up a little bit, but I have my arms extended a lot more in front of me because I don't want to catch myself on that bottom hook, or I don't want to tie up my other blade either. So right here and right here. But otherwise, you want to try to keep your flower pretty much just a little bit outside of shoulder to shoulder range. We don't want to be too wide. We want to keep it about here as we're moving back and forth across the body. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the technique. If you want to learn more flowering techniques, martial techniques, and even a form with the hook swords, hop on over to my website, www.sifukuttel.com, and check out the online learning program. I have a weapons program that has double hook swords, and you can learn techniques, flowering, as well as a form itself. Check it out. I'll leave a link down in the description below as well as up above, and check out other videos in this double hook swords playlist. Hope you enjoy this one. I'll see you in the next.